I'm a space scientist working for one of the most prestigious research organizations in the world. It was a career I've dreamed of since I was a child, staring up at the stars, trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe. My life revolves around data, experiments, and the never-ending quest for knowledge. But what happened to me changed everything, and I can't help but feel that it's something I was never meant to see. It started as just another routine observation mission aboard the Exostation, a massive space station orbiting one of the outer moons of Saturn. The job was simple: monitor the data streams, analyze atmospheric readings, and maintain the station's equipment. I've done it hundreds of times, with nothing out of the ordinary ever happening. It's peaceful up there, almost eerily so. But that day was different. The first thing that tipped me off was the anomaly in the data. It was subtle at first, a slight distortion in the frequency of a transmission. I didn't think much of it at the time. Space is full of cosmic radiation and interference. But something about it nagged at me. The more I analyzed the readings, the more it felt like something was off. And then a deeper, far more unsettling pattern began to emerge. I was in the data lab staring at the holographic interface in front of me when I saw it. It wasn't just a static signal. It was like something was reaching out to us. The distortion didn't seem like interference anymore. It felt deliberate, like an intelligence was trying to communicate with us, but in a way we couldn't understand. My pulse quickened as I zoomed in on the transmission, magnifying the encrypted codes, trying to make sense of it. But there was no logical explanation. It was beyond anything I had ever seen. I scrambled to run some tests, double-checking every possible variable. Could it be a malfunction? Maybe a glitch in the system? But no, this wasn't random. This was intentional. I felt a shiver run down my spine. I quickly sent a message to the station's lead scientist, Dr. Rachel Moran, asking her to take a look. She had always been the pragmatic one, the one who kept a cool head in situations like this. But when I went to her office, she wasn't there. The door was slightly ajar, but the room was empty. I checked her desk. Nothing seemed out of place. That's when I noticed something strange. A small device on the corner of her desk, blinking softly. It looked like an old data drive, nothing special. But why would she leave it there? And why wasn't she responding to my messages? Confused, I picked up the drive and plugged it into my terminal. A moment later, the screen flashed with new data. More of the same strange transmission I had seen earlier. But this time, it was different. Embedded within the noise was a series of cryptic coordinates. They didn't belong to any known star system or celestial body. They pointed to a location deep in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far beyond the boundaries of our current exploration. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. How could this be? The coordinates were impossible. No human or spacecraft had ever ventured that far out. Not even our most advanced probes had reached that distant point. I tried to ignore the growing sense of dread creeping up on me. Maybe it was a hoax. Maybe someone had planted this data to mess with me. But something in my gut told me it was real. My hands trembled as I sent the coordinates to the main control room. Dr. Moran, I muttered under my breath. I needed to talk to her, and I needed to understand what was going on. But she still hadn't returned my messages. And the longer I waited, the more the mystery deepened. With no other choice, I decided to investigate further. I needed to know the truth. I couldn't ignore it. The coordinates had to mean something. I activated the station's comm system and tried to reach the other members of the crew. But the usual channels were dead. No response. A cold sweat broke out on my forehead as I checked the station's logs. All communication systems were down. Something was blocking our transmission signals, but there was no record of any interference. No emergency alarms, just silence. Then came the worst part. The lights in the station flickered, and a low hum filled the air. It wasn't the usual hum of the machinery. This was, different. It resonated deep within my chest, like it was coming from all around me. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I glanced out the viewport. The black void of space stared back at me, endless and unfathomable. But then something caught my eye. a shape, a dark shape moving against the stars. It was barely visible at first, but it was there, just beyond the reach of the station's sensors. I blinked, certain that I was seeing things. But when I looked again, it was still there. A massive craft, almost imperceptible, hanging in the emptiness of space. It wasn't anything like the sleek, engineered designs we were accustomed to. It was unlike anything I had ever seen. Jagged, irregular, almost organic. It was as if it didn't belong in space at all, but rather something else, something far older and more unnatural. My heart raced as I fumbled to bring up the station's external cameras, but they were all malfunctioning. The craft was almost like it was blocking the station's sensors, masking its true nature. I tried to stay calm, but the room felt smaller, as if the walls were closing in on me. I checked the readings on the external scans again, but nothing made sense. There were no signs of life, no energy signatures, no radiation emissions, nothing. But I could feel it. I could feel the presence of something out there. I called out once more for Dr. Moran. No answer. My mind raced, trying to piece together what was happening. Was it a threat? A warning? Or was this something far worse? The hum grew louder, vibrating through the station's metal frame. It was coming from the walls now, from every corner of the station. I could hear it in my teeth, in my bones. A sound so alien, so incomprehensible, it sent my mind spiraling. It wasn't just noise. It was something else, something that defied explanation. I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to see it. I had to know what was out there. With trembling hands, I grabbed my gear, a spacesuit, and headed toward the airlock. There was no turning back now. But as I made my way through the dimly lit corridors, something changed. The station, it didn't feel the same. The air was thicker now, more oppressive. The walls seemed to stretch and groan, as if the station itself was alive, a living, breathing entity. I felt it closing in on me, the weight of something unspeakable pressing down on my chest. I reached the airlock and suited up, my heart pounding in my chest. The door slid open, and I stepped into the vastness of space. But the story didn't end there. I float there, suspended in the dark abyss of space, staring at the unknown object. The exostation behind me feels so small, so fragile in comparison to the enormity of the universe surrounding it. My breath hisses through the comm system in my helmet as I begin to drift forward. The craft, if you can even call it that, is still there, lurking just outside my station's protective orbit, like a dark sentinel waiting for something. Waiting for me. It's hard to describe it, really. Imagine a shape, not quite triangular, not quite round, but a twisted combination of both. It doesn't make sense. The edges aren't sharp, but jagged, almost like they were deliberately fractured, as though time itself had taken a hammer to it. The surface is not metal or plastic, but something organic. It shifts in the void, almost imperceptibly. It shouldn't be moving, not in the vacuum of space. And yet, here it is, like some grotesque, silent predator watching its prey. A chill runs down my spine despite the warmth of my suit. The unease that I had been trying to suppress suddenly comes rushing back with full force. What is it? Who built it? Or, God forbid, what built it? My pulse quickens. The helmet of my spacesuit amplifies the sound of my own heartbeat, a constant reminder that I'm far from safe. I try to calm myself, but the air around me feels thicker, heavier, as though something is weighing down on me from all directions. Is it just me, or does space itself feel wrong? I toggle the controls on my wrist console, trying to get a clearer reading of the object. But the scanner, my only lifeline in this endless void, flickers, the readouts distorted and broken. The transmission signals that had been so precise moments ago have turned into a chaotic mess of static. It's as though the object itself is disrupting the very fabric of space around it. Something is interfering. Something is pushing back. I take a deep breath, trying to steady my hands. It's just a machine, right? An anomaly. We deal with anomalies all the time. In the silence of space, things go wrong. Equipment malfunctions, cosmic rays scramble our signals. But that feeling, that gut-wrenching instinct that tells you something isn't right, it's impossible to ignore. It's impossible to shake. My feet push off from the station's hull, and I slowly begin my approach. The tether that connects me to the exostation is taut, reminding me that I am still anchored to safety, still tethered to the familiar. But every meter I drift closer to the object, I feel more and more detached from everything I know. As I draw nearer, the surface of the strange craft reveals itself in greater detail. It's not smooth, like a human-built ship. Instead, it's covered in what looks like scales, ridges, lines that seem to pulse with a faint, otherworldly glow. They're not steady, they flicker sporadically as if they're alive, breathing in rhythm with some unseen force. My mouth goes dry. I'm no longer floating in space. I'm floating in something else. The very air around me feels alien, like I'm crossing into a different dimension where the rules don't apply. I reach out to touch it, my gloved hand just inches from the surface. But as my fingers near it, a strange low hum vibrates through the suit. It feels like the sound is inside me, vibrating through my skull. My body tenses, fighting the instinct to pull back. But curiosity, no, compulsion, pushes me forward. I have to know what this is. I have to understand. And then, it happens. The craft shifts, just slightly, as if it senses my presence. A pulse of light erupts from one of the ridges, and I stagger back, instinctively pushing off with my legs. My tether jerks, the cord snapping taut as I'm yanked backward, away from the object. But it's too late. Something pulls me, a tug in my chest, not physical, but mental. A force invisible yet undeniable, reaching out and wrapping around my mind. It's a pressure, subtle at first, but growing, pulling me in. I panic. My breathing becomes erratic. I try to break the tether, to push myself away, but it's useless. The force, whatever it is, has its grip on me. I'm being pulled toward the craft, helpless. And then, just as quickly as it began, the force lets go. I float, disoriented, spinning slowly in the vacuum of space. My visor is cracked with condensation, fogging up from my breath. My head is spinning, my senses overwhelmed by a cacophony of noises, all inside my mind. I try to focus, to steady myself. What just happened? Was it a hallucination? Space madness, maybe? But then I see it, a figure. It's standing on the surface of the object. I almost don't believe it. How could something be standing? There's no gravity in space. But there it is, a tall, gaunt figure, cloaked in darkness, its form obscured by the strange, pulsating glow of the craft's surface. I can't make out its features, but the outline, the presence, is unmistakable. It's watching me. I freeze, unable to move, unable to breathe. The figure tilts its head slightly, as though acknowledging my presence, as though it knows I'm here. The air around me feels colder, the very molecules of space beginning to shift. What is it? What am I looking at? The figure lifts one hand, and my heart skips a beat. I don't know why. Maybe it's the slow, deliberate movement. Maybe it's the absolute calmness of it. But something inside me tells me that whatever this thing is, it's not human. Not even close. I try to speak into the comms, but my voice is lost in the static. I try again, but my words come out as nothing more than a whisper. Doctor? Moran? Anyone? But the figure doesn't respond. Instead, it steps forward, its motion smooth and eerie, as though its body is gliding along the craft's surface without effort. It takes one step, then another, moving closer to me. I am paralyzed, frozen in fear, unable to tear my gaze away. I can feel it now, the force, that invisible pressure, pressing in on my mind, on my thoughts. It's growing stronger. I try to scream, to fight it off, but it's like I can't control my own body anymore. My fingers twitch, my legs start to move against my will, slowly drifting toward the figure. I'm no longer controlling my own movements. I'm being dragged, compelled to approach it, closer and closer. The air feels suffocating now. the temperature plummeting. I'm shaking uncontrollably, but I can't stop myself. I can't move away. I want to scream, but my voice won't come out. The figure steps even closer until its dark form is standing right in front of me. Then it lifts its hand. I can't breathe. I can't think. And just as it reaches out, its hand comes closer to my visor. I lose control completely. My mind goes blank. And then, everything goes black. When I open my eyes, the first thing I notice is the cold. Not the chill of space, but something far colder. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones and freezes your very soul. My body aches as though I've been lying in one position for too long, my limbs stiff and unresponsive. But that's not the most disorienting thing. The most disorienting thing is the silence. I've been floating in space. I've experienced the quiet of the vacuum, but this is different. This silence is absolute, oppressive. It's as if every sound, every breath has been completely erased. I can't hear my own pulse, not even the faint whir of my suit's life support systems. The stillness is suffocating. I try to move, but my limbs won't obey. I can feel them. I can feel the pressure building in my fingers and toes. But nothing happens when I command them to shift. It's as though I'm trapped in my own body, unable to break free. Panic begins to claw at the edges of my mind, but I push it down. I can't afford to lose control. The cold deepens. The air in my suit is thick and stale, like it's been recycled one too many times. It smells wrong too, like burning metal. My chest tightens. Where am I? I try to speak, but my voice comes out as nothing more than a rasping whisper. The sound is swallowed whole by the abyss. I can't tell if it's my voice or if the silence itself is speaking to me. I feel the weight of it pressing in on me, and the cold deepens. What happened? Then slowly, like a dream pulling me from sleep, I start to remember. The figure, the dark, towering shape, the cold hand reached toward me, and then nothing. My mind is blank again, the memory fading into the fog. My body is still frozen, still locked in place, but now I can feel something else. Something is wrong, something alien. I push against it, willing my limbs to move, willing the oppressive stillness to lift, but the pressure only increases. The silence tightens its grip around me, and with it comes the overwhelming sense that I'm not alone. Something is here with me, something that wasn't here before. I hear a low, familiar hum, faint at first, then growing louder. It's the same hum I heard on the exostation right before I stepped into space. But this time, it's different. It's not coming from the station. It's not coming from my suit. This sound is coming from inside me. My head jerks upward. The sensation of the hum, that low-frequency vibration, intensifies. It's not just in my ears anymore. It's in my mind. The edges of my vision blur, and the room, if this is even a room, begins to shift. It's as though the walls themselves are pulsating, breathing with the same alien rhythm that now runs through my body. The world feels alive, not in the way you'd expect, but in a way that's unsettling, primitive almost, as if this place has been here far longer than any human could ever comprehend. I try to focus, to make sense of what's happening, but the pressure in my skull is unbearable. I feel the hum vibrating through every part of me. It's inside my thoughts now, like an external force trying to burrow into my mind. I grit my teeth, trying to block it out, but it's too much. It's everywhere. The walls around me seem to darken, the light flickering erratically, casting strange shadows that move of their own accord. The surface beneath me is no longer the familiar, smooth metal of my spacesuit. It's rough, almost organic, like the surface of the alien ship I had approached. The floor is now undulating beneath me, like the gentle rise and fall of a deep ocean, but there's no water. Just this strange presence. Where am I? Suddenly I hear something. A voice. Not a voice I recognize, but a voice nonetheless. It's deep, resonant, and almost otherworldly. It vibrates through my bones, settling deep into my chest. The voice doesn't speak words, at least not words that I can understand. But somehow I hear it. I understand it. And the message is clear. You shouldn't have seen us. The voice is distant, yet right next to me at the same time. It echoes inside my skull, and I gasp in horror. The pressure, the sensation in my head, grows unbearable. I try to scream, but no sound escapes my throat. I can't move. I can't even blink. I'm frozen, trapped. And then, another voice. This one is faint, almost human. It's the voice of Dr. Moran. You were never meant to know. It's as if the words are imprinted on my very soul. My heart skips a beat. Dr. Moran? She's here? How? What's going on? I struggle against the invisible force, my thoughts a whirlpool of confusion and terror. The voice continues, the sound washing over me like a wave crashing onto the shore. We can't let you go back. I try to move, try to break free from whatever hold this place has over me, but it's useless. It's like I'm drowning in the very air around me. The hum is no longer just a sound, it's a presence, a force that is alive, that is aware, and it's growing stronger, pulling at me, pulling at the very essence of who I am. But then, as if on cue, the darkness around me shifts. The oppressive blackness that has been swallowing me slowly begins to give way to something else. A faint, sickly glow fills the space, casting long shadows on the walls that writhe like they're alive. I can see, no, feel, something moving within the darkness. Something far older, far more powerful than I could ever understand. It's like a nightmare made real. The space around me grows even colder, and I hear a voice. Not a voice really, but a presence. A vast, alien consciousness that stretches beyond time and space itself. It speaks to me, but not in words. You are ours now. The thought is not my own. It's a foreign presence, invading my mind, suffusing my very thoughts with a cold alien awareness. I try to fight it, to push it away, but it's too strong, too vast. It is everywhere. I am pulled forward, my body jerking with movements that aren't mine, my limbs acting on their own, dragging me closer to the center of the room. Or what I now realize is not a room at all. It is a chamber, a vessel, a prison, and at the center of the chamber, glowing faintly, is a shape. It's familiar. Too familiar. I don't know how, but I know what it is. The figure, the one I saw on the ship, the one that reached toward me. It's standing there just beyond reach, but I feel it calling to me. I know that it's waiting for me. I know that I'm meant to be there, standing beside it, but I can't. I try to resist, but the pull is too strong. The hum is in my blood now, in my bones. The figure raises its hand again, and I see it. It's not just a figure, it's me. But not me, not the way I am now. This is the real me, the person I was always meant to be, the thing that's been waiting in the dark for so long, and I realize with a cold chill crawling up my spine that this is only the beginning. I stand frozen, unable to tear my eyes away from the figure, or whatever it is. It's not just a reflection of me, not in any way I can understand. It's me, but different. It's the version of me that I never knew existed. The version that has been waiting for me in the shadows of my mind, in the forgotten corners of my soul. How do I know this? I can't explain it, but it's like the figure is calling to me, pulling something out of me that I didn't even know was there. Have you ever felt like you were meant to be someone else? Because that's what I'm feeling now. Like I've been living a life that wasn't mine. The person I've been, the scientist, the explorer, the human, has been a shell, a mask. The being in front of me, standing in the shadows with its glowing eyes, is the true version of me, the one that's been slumbering in the depths of my subconscious, the one who has always been waiting to be set free. I blink hard, my chest heaving, the air in my suit growing thinner, colder. My fingers tremble as I reach out, almost involuntarily toward the figure. The moment my hand moves, it moves too. Its arm stretches, impossibly long, reaching toward me, matching my every motion. But there's something terrifying in the way its movements are not my own. Yet they are. They feel familiar, too familiar, like something deep inside of me that I've been trying to suppress for years. The figure, or should I say it, because it feels more like an it than a me now, stands perfectly still as I move closer, its eyes glowing with an intensity that seems to pierce through my very soul. There's no warmth, no comfort in its gaze, just an emptiness that I can't fully comprehend, an emptiness that seems to stretch across time itself. What is this thing? What is it trying to tell me? I know deep in my gut that it's not here by accident. It's not just some strange alien life form or an anomaly in space. It's here for a reason. I am the reason. My heart beats erratically and my breath quickens, my thoughts slipping into a frenzy as I struggle to understand what's happening. The weight of the situation crashes down on me. This is no longer just a scientific discovery. This is something far darker. This isn't about making history. This isn't about unlocking the mysteries of the universe. This is about me. And the thing that's been waiting for me to see. I stagger back, my breath catching in my throat. The figure doesn't move, doesn't react. It's as though it's waiting for me to come to the realization on my own. And I do. I don't know how, but I do. It's all coming together. The pieces, the puzzle, the impossible truths I didn't want to acknowledge. This creature, this entity, it's not just a physical being. It's a part of me, a reflection of my true self. It was always there, hiding in the dark, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. The hum, that incessant vibration that has been running through my veins, grows louder now. It's no longer just a hum. It's a call, a summons, an invitation to join this thing, this being, in whatever realm it inhabits. I feel it pulling me, dragging me closer with an irresistible force. I try to resist, try to stop myself, but my body moves as if of its own accord. And that's when the first real shift happens. The world around me begins to warp, like a bad dream distorting in front of my eyes. The chamber, or whatever it is that I'm trapped in, starts to change. It's no longer just dark and cold. It's shifting, pulsing with an unnatural energy. I can hear the walls, or what I think are walls, grinding together as though they are alive. The space itself feels like it's breathing, expanding and contracting in rhythm with the hum, as if this place is alive. I gasp for air, but the suit's filter can't seem to keep up with the panic rising in my chest. The temperature inside my helmet spikes. Sweat beads on my brow, but it's not from physical exertion. It's the pressure, the pull. It's all becoming too much. The figure steps forward now, its glowing eyes never leaving mine. I don't know how it moves, but it does, as though gravity no longer applies to it. It floats closer, closer, until it's mere inches from me, towering over me like a dark god. The temperature continues to drop. It's as if the very air around me is turning cold, draining life from me, from everything. I should be terrified, but I'm not. Something inside me welcomes it. The pull, the hum, the cold. It feels like it's all part of me, like it was meant to be. And then without warning, the figure reaches out again, its hand coming towards my visor. This time I don't flinch. I don't even blink. I let it touch the glass. The moment it does, I feel a shock ripple through me, a surge of energy that courses through my body, through my very mind. The light in its eyes flares, and suddenly I see it, the truth. I'm no longer in the space station. I'm not floating in the void of space. I'm somewhere else, somewhere deeper. I can feel it, like a weight in my chest, a place where the laws of physics don't apply, where time bends and twists in unnatural ways. The figure isn't just a being, it's a guide, a guardian, a keeper of something ancient and terrible. The truth is clear now. I am part of something bigger, something older than humanity itself. The figure is not just a reflection, it is me, and I am it. We are bound together. I am here because I was always supposed to be here. I was always meant to see this. The figure pulls back, and I'm left standing in the abyss, my mind unraveling with the weight of the revelation. My heart races in my chest, but I still can't move, still can't break free. There's nothing left but this truth. The thing that has been pulling me, the thing that has been waiting for me, is not something I can escape. It's part of me. And then the voice returns, the low, resonant hum that fills the space around me. You're ours now. You can never go back. I feel a surge of dread. No, this can't be happening. Can it? My mind races, the thoughts colliding like stars in a dying galaxy. I want to fight it. I want to scream, to tear it all down. But I know now. I know I can't, because I was always meant to be here. This is where I belong. This is who I was always meant to become. But what does it mean for me? For humanity? That's the question I can't answer. The question that haunts me. I stand frozen, my heart racing in my chest, my mind swimming in the vastness of what I've just realized. There's no escape from this. I know it now, deep in my bones. I am part of it, this thing, this entity that's been lying in wait, in the dark corners of the universe, for something or someone to come and unlock it. But what does it mean? What happens next? The hum in my skull intensifies, vibrating through every nerve, every thought. It's no longer just an external force. It's me. It's inside me. I am becoming part of whatever this is, whatever this being is. I can feel it, creeping through my blood like a poison, spreading to the farthest reaches of my consciousness. The figure, or is it me? It's hard to distinguish anymore. Watches me with that cold, unblinking gaze. I feel its presence more than I see it, its essence lingering in the air, filling the space with an eerie weight that presses against my mind. It's watching me, but it's more than that. It's waiting for me to take the next step, waiting for me to embrace what it means to truly be it. What does it mean for humanity? I whispered to myself, the words trembling in the vacuum of my suit, though no sound reaches my ears. The question haunts me, but I already know the answer. I know it in my soul. Humanity was never meant to understand this. We were never meant to know about the ancient things that slumber in the depths of space, waiting for the right moment to awaken. But that moment is now. It's not just me anymore. The entire human race, every single one of us, has been unwittingly tied to it, bound to this alien truth that was always hiding in the darkness. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of it pressing down on me. The words echo in my mind. You're ours now. You can never go back. And I realize with sudden clarity that this is it. There is no going back to the life I had before. There is no going back to the people I left behind. There is no going back to Earth, to my research, to my discoveries. I am no longer that person. The old me is gone. I open my eyes again, and the figure is still there, still staring at me. But now I see it for what it is, a reflection, a mirror, the mirror of my true self, the one I've been hiding from for years. The voice comes again, a deep, resonant hum, but this time it feels like it's speaking to me, not just in my mind, but in my very soul. Do you understand now? The voice asks, and I feel its power ripple through me. Do I understand? Yes, I understand. But do I accept it? Do I want to accept it? What is the cost of this awakening? I can feel the answer before the voice speaks it. The cost is everything. The voice sends a shiver down my spine, as though it's reaching into the deepest parts of me, where the truth has always been buried. Everything. It's not just my life, my existence. It's everything, all of humanity, all of our history, all of our futures. It's all tied to this awakening. I feel it deep inside me, like a dark tide rising within my chest. The hum continues, louder now, pulsating in the air, filling the chamber around me. I want to move, to run, to scream, but I can't. There's nothing I can do. This thing, this presence, has already taken root. It has already claimed me. I want to fight it. I want to tear it apart, to destroy it. But there's a part of me that understands, a part of me that knows it's too late. The truth has already been set in motion. There is no undoing it, no going back. The pieces are in place. I take a step forward and the figure mirrors me. It moves in perfect synchronicity with me. We are one. I realize that now. It's not a reflection, not a separate entity. It is me, and I am it. We are bound inseparably. But what does it mean for everyone else? For the people I left behind on the exostation? For Dr. Moran? For my colleagues? I remember the look in Dr. Moran's eyes when she first made contact with the entity. The fear, the uncertainty. Was she afraid of me? Of what I was becoming? Or was she afraid of what this knowledge would do to us all? And yet, I cannot deny what I've learned. The truth, the power. I am not the first. There have been others who have encountered this entity and accepted it. There's a part of me that wants to join them, to become one with them, to break free of the human shackles that have always held me back. It's too late to resist. The voice again, deep, rolling like thunder. I feel the weight of it in my bones, in my skin. It's all-consuming. I want to scream. I want to fight back. But the truth is clear. I am already lost. I am already one with this thing. But then, a spark of defiance flickers in my chest. A tiny ember, barely enough to keep the fire alive. What if I'm not as lost as I think? What if there's a way to break free from this? From it? I take another step forward, the figure following me. It feels different now. The ground beneath me shifts, and I realize something. The place we're in, this strange, cold chamber, it's no longer just a place. It's alive, like the creature itself. It's pulsing with a dark energy, and I feel it pressing in on me, on all sides. I try to push against it, but the force is too great. The figure raises its hand, and I feel a sharp pain in my chest, like 1,000 needles piercing my heart. It's as if it's trying to break me open, to split me in two, to force me to give in to whatever this thing is. But I won't. I can't. The fire in my chest grows brighter. There's something inside me that refuses to let go. I don't know if it's my humanity or if it's something deeper. Something that has always been a part of me. Will I be able to hold on to that spark? Or will I fall into the darkness like everyone before me? The pain in my chest intensifies, each beat of my heart reverberating through my body like a drum, forcing my breath to catch in my throat. My vision wavers as I struggle against the weight pressing down on me. But through it all, there's something else. A flicker, a spark of light deep within my soul that refuses to be snuffed out. It's weak, but it's there. The figure before me, this dark reflection of myself, seems to notice it too. Its eyes flare with a cold intensity, and the air around us grows heavier, charged with an unnatural energy. I can feel it pulsing, like the beat of a heart, echoing in time with my own. You cannot fight it, the voice rumbles, deep and resonant. It fills every inch of space, seeping into my thoughts. It's already a part of you. You will never escape it. We are one. We always have been. Its words burrow into my mind like parasites, trying to crush that fragile spark, that part of me that still resists. But I hold on. I hold on tighter than I ever thought possible. I am still me. But for how long? The question lingers in the back of my mind, like a whisper that refuses to be ignored. It gnaws at me as I stand there, feeling the pull of something I can't fully comprehend. My body feels like it's being torn in two. One part of me screaming to break free, to reclaim my humanity, and another part yearning for the darkness, for the power that comes with embracing what I've become. This thing, this entity, offers me everything: control, knowledge, power beyond imagination, the ability to transcend the limitations of human existence. I can feel it just beneath the surface of my skin, the connection, the bond that's forming between us, the figure and I. The boundaries between it and me are beginning to blur. My thoughts twist, clouded with the overwhelming sensation of being pulled into its depths, but I won't. I won't let it take me. Not like this. I close my eyes, grounding myself in the one thing that's still mine, the light inside me, the human part of me, The part that's fought and struggled and bled to get this far. It's small, barely a flicker, but I know now that it's stronger than any darkness this thing can offer. I refuse to lose it. I refuse to lose myself. For the first time since I saw the figure, since I realized what I've become, I take a step backward, just one, but it's enough. The figure mirrors me, its arm extending forward as though it's trying to force me to stay, to pull me deeper into the void with it. Its eyes burn brighter now, the glow almost blinding in its intensity. "You cannot resist it," it says again, but this time there's a crack in its voice. It's not as sure as before. "You are already one of us." The words are like poison, trying to seep into my thoughts, trying to suffocate that tiny ember of light that still burns within me. I fight it with every ounce of strength I have. I push it out. It doesn't matter what this thing says. It doesn't matter that it's telling me it's too late. I am still human. I still have a mind of my own. My heart races faster now, beating louder in my chest. I feel the rush of blood in my veins, the heat spreading out from my chest, up to my throat, filling my head with a searing clarity. I can fight this. With a defiant scream, I turn away from the figure, stumbling backwards into the dark expanse of the chamber. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I can't stay here. I can't stand to face the thing that's been waiting for me. It's then that I hear it, a sound, sharp and jagged, like the tearing of metal. The space itself seems to rip open. The walls around me shimmer and stretch, their edges warping and twisting like a living organism. The air thickens, becoming viscous and oppressive, choking the breath from my lungs. The figure steps toward me, and with each step it takes, the space warps further. The hum in the air grows louder, its vibrations filling the very core of my being. It feels like the entire universe is folding in on itself. I turn back to face the entity, my mind a swirl of emotions, fear, desperation, rage. It stands before me, its eyes glowing with that cold, unfeeling light. It doesn't speak, doesn't need to. The message is clear. The dark abyss of the cosmos is inevitable. This thing is inevitable. But I refuse to give in. I refuse to let it take me or anyone else any further down this path. I look down at my hands, no longer trembling, no longer filled with doubt. For the first time since I set foot on this space station, I feel alive. I feel the strength of my humanity, of everything that makes me who I am, bubbling up from within me. I take another step back, and another. With each movement, I feel the tug of the entity lessening. It's still there, but it's weaker now, not as powerful as before. I can feel it struggling to maintain its hold on me, its grip slipping. I'm fighting back. I'm resisting it. But the question still lingers, like a shadow I can't shake. Will I ever truly be free? Is it possible to escape something that has become so much a part of me? Something that has woven itself into the very fabric of my being? As I stand there, trapped between the figure and the collapsing walls of reality itself, I feel the space around me begin to stretch and bend even further. There is no time, no place, just an endless, pulsating void. And in that moment, I know the answer. There is no going back. Not for me, not for humanity. But maybe, just maybe, there is a way forward, a way to reshape this, to bend it to my will, to take control, to become more than this thing ever intended. I take a deep breath. It's time to find out. I take another deep breath, and with it, something shifts. The air around me pulses, stretching and contracting like the lungs of a great beast. There is power here, a dark, ancient force that churns beneath my skin, whispering in a language I can't fully understand, but feel in every fiber of my being. I realize in that moment that I am not just in the void. I am the void. I've become the very thing I sought to escape. The figure, the entity. It was never separate from me. It was merely a reflection, a shadow of what I've always been, waiting to be unleashed. The more I think about it, the more the reality of what's happened settles in. This power, this knowledge, it's mine. I've already embraced it, already taken control of it. There's no going back now, no undoing what I've done. but that realization doesn't frighten me anymore. What once felt like a crushing burden, a relentless force trying to consume me, now feels like a tool, a weapon, a means to an end. What end? I stare into the endless expanse before me, the void, the nothingness. It's a reflection of my own mind, infinite in stretching, unbound by time or space. The question echoes in my head again. What now? The power is mine to command, and yet I still don't understand its full scope. The flickers of memories from my past, fragments of a life I left behind, swirl in my thoughts. My humanity, my past self, all of it feels like a distant dream now. I was once a scientist, a man of logic and reason, but now I'm something else. I've crossed a threshold and the line between man and monster is blurry. A flicker of doubt rises. What if I'm wrong? What if this darkness inside me is a poison, a disease, and all I've done is sign my own death sentence? There's a part of me that wants to reach out, to grab hold of whatever remains of my humanity and pull myself back. But that part grows weaker by the second. I can feel it shrinking, disappearing into the chasm of my mind. Number I can't go back. I know that now. But what do I become instead? What will I do with this darkness? The emptiness around me beckons, and I feel the pull again, this time stronger. It's like a tide, a gravitational force drawing me closer, urging me to take the next step. The more I fight it, the stronger it becomes. I am the force. I am the pull. There is no separating me from it now. I step forward into the void, feeling the space around me bend and shift with my every move. The walls, if you could call them that, seem to ripple, folding and unfolding in ways that defy all logic. There is no longer any distinction between reality and the thing I've become. I am one with it. And as I push further into the abyss, I feel the power surging around me, thick, alive, suffocating. I wonder for just a moment, what will become of the world I left behind? What will happen to the people on Earth, to those I abandoned, those who still cling to their humanity? I remember the faces of the scientists who worked beside me, my colleagues who had no idea what was coming. I remember the way they looked at me, with a mix of admiration and fear. And then I realized something. I was never one of them. They could never understand. They were just ants, scurrying around in the dirt, blind to the truths that I uncovered, truths that led me here. The power surges again, and I can feel my mind stretching, expanding, beyond the limits of the station, beyond the limits of space. I could tear the universe apart if I wanted to. I could shape it in my image. I could remake reality itself. The thought comes unbidden, a seed planted in the back of my mind. What if I could become the creator? What if the darkness, the void, wasn't just something to fear, but something to embrace, something to wield? The thought is intoxicating, a heady rush that floods my senses. The very air around me seems to bend to my will. I stretch out my hands and I can feel the fabric of reality rippling under my fingers. I focus, tightening my grip, and with a single thought, I tear the void open. Space itself cracks, and what emerges from it is something even I don't expect. A vision, not just a hallucination, but a presence. A vision of Earth, my Earth, a living, breathing planet, spinning in the vastness of space. It's beautiful, fragile, untouched. But there's something wrong, something out of place. The vision flickers like a broken projection, and I see a shadow moving across the surface. Something enormous, something alive. It crawls across the planet's surface, its movement slow, deliberate. It's not human. It's something else. My heart skips a beat as I realize the truth. This is no vision. It's a memory, a future memory, a glimpse of what's to come if I follow through with this. The shadow grows larger, swallowing the continents, the oceans. It's me. I am the thing that will consume my world. I am the one who will bring about its end. But is it the end, or is it a beginning? I stand frozen, staring into the void, trying to comprehend what I'm seeing. This is the price of power, isn't it? a constant, inescapable toll. I thought I could control it. I thought I could bend it to my will. But what if I've already gone too far? What if, like everything else, I'm doomed to fall into the abyss and become just another force of destruction? The question haunts me, gnawing at the edges of my thoughts. And then another realization hits me. I don't have to be the destroyer. I can shape this. I can be the architect of a new reality. The thought sends a ripple of energy through the void, a spark of defiance that refuses to be snuffed out. I don't know what comes next, but I know one thing for certain. I will not let this power control me. I will shape it. I will become something more, something greater. And as the vision of Earth continues to flicker before me, I make my choice. The moment I make my choice, something shifts. The void around me seems to stir, as if it's waking from a long, deep slumber. The silence that once felt like an oppressive weight now hums with a subtle energy, an undercurrent of possibility. I realize that I am not alone in this vast empty space. No, there are echoes here. They've always been here. Beneath the surface, hidden in the dark corners of my mind, are the imprints of every person who has come before me, every soul that has made the same choice. This power, this entity, it has always existed. It's as old as the universe itself, and it has shaped the course of countless lives, human and otherwise, pushing them toward their own ends, bending them to its will. But now I feel something different. The energy is mine. I close my eyes, grounding myself in the overwhelming surge of power. The pulse of the void is steady now, rhythmic, like the beating of a great heart. I can feel it beneath my feet, the earth, my home, hanging in the endless stretch of space. And with that connection, the spark inside me ignites. It's more than just the power of creation, it's the power of influence, of change. For a brief, fleeting moment, I see Earth as it once was. A fragile, beautiful planet, teeming with life, full of possibilities. A place where humans lived in ignorance, blissfully unaware of the forces that lurk just beyond their understanding. I remember the face of the scientist that I once was, the man who thought he could control it all, the one who believed that knowledge was the ultimate power. But now I understand that control is an illusion. Creation, however, is real. I open my eyes again, and I feel the very essence of existence stretch out before me. I am the catalyst now. The vision of Earth flickers, a series of fractured images. I see my old life, my work, the people I knew, the world I left behind. But then those images begin to fade, replaced by something else, something new. I focus. I stretch my senses, and in an instant, the void around me shatters like glass. Reality as I once knew it no longer applies. Time bends, space warps, and I find myself standing in the middle of an endless ocean of light. A galaxy spirals before me, each star a pinprick of possibility, each nebula a swirling dance of creation. It's as though the universe itself is waiting for me to act, and I will act. I can feel the energy of the void surging through me, its currents flooding my mind with power. It's like a floodgate has been opened, and all I have to do is reach out and shape the world as I see fit. The lines of reality blur. What was once tangible is now a malleable form. The vision of Earth grows clearer, and I see it not as a static object, but as something alive, pulsing with energy. Every continent, every ocean, every forest and mountain is interconnected, and I can feel it, the heartbeat of the planet itself. And for the first time since I've entered this realm, I understand. Creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin. I have the power to break the world apart, but more importantly, I have the power to remake it. I take a deep breath and I begin. The universe around me shudders as if it recognizes my intentions. I stretch my hand out, palm open, and the energy of the void ripples outward. Space bends to my will, stretching and folding in ways that should be impossible. A single thought is all it takes. The stars themselves flicker in response, shifting and spinning, obeying the silent command of my mind. I focus on Earth, my Earth, and I pour my energy into it. The power flows through me, surging with the intensity of a supernova, and the world before me begins to change. Slowly at first, a ripple across the surface, a shift in the atmosphere. The oceans seem to tremble, and the clouds part, revealing the true potential of the planet beneath. The land masses shimmer, reshaping themselves in response to my will. Volcanoes erupt in slow motion. Mountains rise and fall like the undulating tide, and I can hear the groan of the earth as it twists and turns under my influence. This isn't destruction, this is renewal. I pause, feeling the enormity of what I've done. I see the vision of Earth unfold before me like a living, breathing entity, every change I make rippling across the surface. The human race, the life that calls the planet home, they are all still there, still unaware of the power I now wield. And as I watch the changes take place, a new realization dawns on me. This is only the beginning. I can shape this world into anything I desire. I can remake the human race, or let them flourish as they were meant to. The thought of turning them into something greater, something more than human, flashes in my mind. I've already transcended my limitations. I've become something more than I ever was. Why shouldn't they? But as I stand at the edge of this new world I'm crafting, I am reminded of the price of this power. I can create, yes. But what is the cost? The vision of the shadow across Earth returns, and I feel a cold chill in my chest. The same shadow I saw earlier, creeping across the surface of the planet, devouring everything in its path. Is this my future? Will I become the thing that I feared? The destroyer? I reject the thought. I choose to be the creator. I pull back, cutting off the flow of energy for a moment to regain my composure. The void stretches before me, infinite, unknowable. But there is something different. The darkness that once haunted me feels distant now. It's no longer a part of me. I have learned to control it, to shape it into something that serves me. I focus again on Earth. The changes I've made are starting to settle. The planet is transforming, reshaping itself under my influence. But I feel a need to act quickly. The longer I wait, the more unstable things become. I push forward again, my mind racing with possibilities. As I create, I feel the weight of my decisions. Each alteration, no matter how small, ripples outward, sending tremors through reality. This is the true power of creation. It is a force that can change not only the world, but everything in it. It can reshape societies, transform entire ecosystems, and even the course of history itself. And I am the one who will shape it. The land shifts, the skies darken, and new civilizations begin to form in the wake of my influence. But even as I forge new life, I wonder, what happens when I'm done? Will I be content with the world I've created, or will the need for more power, more control consume me? Who will I become? These thoughts churn in my mind, but I force them aside. Now is not the time for doubt. I have made my choice, and now I will see it through. The weight of the choice settles in my chest. The answer to that lingering question, who will I become, is no longer something I fear. It's something I've already started to forge. The power I wield, the energy flowing through me, is no longer a force of destruction. It's a force of creation, of rebirth. I will not be defined by the past or the things that once controlled me. I am shaping the future now. The void has become my canvas, my masterpiece unfolding in real time. I stretch out my hands again, feeling the pulse of the universe beneath my fingertips. It's a living thing, a response to my will, to my intentions. The stars themselves seem to align, their light bending and flickering with the rhythm of my thoughts. In the distance, I see the Earth again, the planet I abandoned, the home that I will reshape. The changes I've made are now permanent, each moment rippling outward, creating something new. The continents have shifted, the oceans have risen and fallen, and I have reshaped the very nature of existence. I take a deep breath and close my eyes for a moment, centering myself. The pull of the universe is strong, but I've learned to control it. The energy inside me is a wellspring of limitless potential, and I have only begun to scratch the surface. But even as I stand here, basking in the power, a sense of unease creeps into my mind. What happens when I've done everything I can? When I've reshaped everything around me, the question still haunts me. But now it's no longer about controlling the energy. I've done that. It's no longer about bending the universe to my will. I've mastered that. It's about understanding what to do with it once I have it all. The vision of Earth flickers once more, this time showing me a world that is alive with possibilities. The creatures that now inhabit it are different, changed by my influence. They're stronger, more capable, and they thrive in the new world I've given them. The humans, too, they're different. They've evolved, adapted to the changes I've made. They're no longer the fragile, flawed creatures they once were. There's something greater. And I see it, a new civilization, one I've built. A world that could have never existed without me. But is this enough? I take another step, and the universe shifts once again. The energy I've accumulated builds to a climax, like a wave crashing against the shore. The world before me, the Earth I've molded, begins to pulse with life. It's no longer just a planet, it's a being in its own right. I feel its heartbeat, its breath, its soul, and then, with one final thought, I release. The energy explodes outward, a wave of pure creation, sweeping across the universe in an instant. The void before me fills with light, and for a moment, everything is still. And then the earth shatters. The ground cracks, the oceans boil, and the skies burn. It's as if the very fabric of reality is torn apart by my actions. The civilization I built, the people I shaped, all of it is consumed by the force of my will. Was this always meant to happen? I feel the familiar pulse of power surge through me once more, and I realize this isn't an end. This is a transformation, a renewal. The destruction was necessary, just as the rebirth was inevitable. As the chaos settles, I see something new, a different Earth, a planet reborn. The energy I've unleashed has forged it anew, a blank canvas once again. But this time, I can see it more clearly. I know what I must do. The world before me is full of potential, and I can mold it into whatever I want. I take a deep breath, my heart steady now. The decision has been made. The darkness that once held me in its grip has been replaced with clarity. The questions that once haunted me are answered. I am the creator. I am the destroyer. I am the one who shapes reality, who bends the world to my will. I have become everything and nothing. The power I hold is limitless, and it will continue to grow, continue to evolve. But I know now that the true test isn't in the act of creation, it's in the act of maintaining it. Will I use this power for good, or will I succumb to the same fate as the countless others who have come before me? The choices are mine. I stand on the precipice of eternity, looking at the universe I've shaped, a universe of infinite possibilities. Who will I become? The answer is already clear. I will become what I choose to be. And with that, I walk forward,